Why?
Hey everyone, it's 24emodels.co.uk. Welcome to part 5 of the Valentino Rossi build. I don't think it's part 5, is it? Yeah, it should be part 5, I think. So I've done the mush, and just off camera there, we've got there somewhere, we've got the panel lines drying from the panel line wash on the body itself. Give you a quick glimpse. Are you ready? Hop! There we go. That's all you're getting. Yeah, I know. I'm rotten. I'm evil. I'm nasty. I'm like that. So sit back, enjoy. We'll talk through the rest of the figure building party thingy stuffing. Oh my word, Mr. Rossi, Mr. Rossi, Mr. Rossi, Mr. Rossi. You're being a bit of a pain. Now, shocking lighting. So let's try and sort this out a little bit. Try and get some of these shadows back. We've got a massive, great big. Given this a bit of a priming, a quick dust coat, just so we can figure out what's what with it. And there's massive, great big seam lines everywhere that I need to take care of now. There's a guideline there that looks like seam line, but it's not. That's actually where one of the logos go. Or is it? No, that's his thong. Beg your pardon. So there's like a thong effect on the leathers themselves. So that looks like it stays white. Just bring the instructions over. As we come round, you can see panels of where the colours will merge. Not merge. Where the colours are separated from each other. But then you get a massive, great big seam line along there from where the moulds clamp together, and it's shocking. There's another one that runs down the shin there into the foot, but then we get the actual join line from the two halves of the kit. It leaves that massive, great big gap in the ribbing of the thigh. It's not the best build in the world, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of carving just to take those shapes back out. Same at about there, there's a massive, great big seam right at the back that I'm not going to be able to get into properly to fill it. We'll see if we can close that up a little bit more with glue or something. But again, down the back of the calf here, massive, great big gap, which is I don't like how that's built at all. Same on the sleeves, there's a couple of nasty seam lines that don't appear to match up with anything, but then you can make out where the panels of the leather are. It's so massive, great big gap there as well. Don't like that at all. Don't like that at all. And you got a big bit at the back. So it's not Tamiya's. Tamiya, potato. It's not their finest hour. We'll work with it. We'll see what we can do. The last thing I want to do is start using loads and loads of filler. But it looks like I might have much of a choice, especially here on the chest, because it looks like there's going to be a couple of decals covering this seam here at the top, but that seam is god awful. It's very ugly, it's very in your face and standing out, so I'm going to have to do some work on that by the look of it. In terms of fitting him on the bike, it's absolutely grand, it really is. The two arms fit together perfectly. There's a little bit of work needs doing around the back. I can't get it lined up again now. There we go. So there's a little bit of work needs doing just here. It doesn't quite match. Oh, I don't know. Right, so still a bit of carvery, especially this one here, because this one's really bugging me. So being very careful not to cut ourselves. Just going to very chisel away that line there, make that go. And whilst you're doing this, you will expose, you will go through the primers that you've done already, and you'll expose the plastic underneath, but not to worry, we can always redo this. Now the thing we need to watch out for here is where it goes across the ribbing, so we're just going to literally just very gently scrape across the top of the ribbon and get into the grooves as flat as we can across the top of it. We're not taking too much of the ribbing away, and then back to the point, just nibble away. So it's very delicate, very gentle. You know, somebody's hacking the guts up outside. Also genuinely gutted. Last night I was going to bed, I thought I'll have one quick look at Sky News on the smartphone. Other news services are available. And it popped up straight away, headline, it's just been announced that Glenn Fry's died. I was like, oh my good grief. Now, I'm 40 and my dad was a bit of a hippie when I was growing up. Every Sunday afternoon, when he finally rose from a heavy night the night before, first thing he would do was put on the Eagles on the old record player. So I grew up listening to the Eagles, and obviously as the 80s went on and they went in different ways, and Don Henley was doing his thing and Glenn Fry was doing something else, and then Beverly Hills Cop came out. Glenn Fry did the soundtrack for that. My dad went wild. And because of his passion for the Eagles, I've pretty much followed in the same vein, and a couple of years back I went and bought every single one of the albums on CD for my dad's birthday, and it melted him. I've never actually seen my dad cry, but that day I did. So, oh, you've no idea what this means, and yeah, we do share a passion for the Eagles, so we were genuinely upset last night when we found out. Again, it's not something my dad does. He's not often a crier. He's a very emotional bloke. He'll tell you his feelings all the time, and he'll things like that. But he's not one to show his tears. He did last night, which made me cry. Oh, genuinely shocking. What's going on with this year so far? We've lost, what is it? David Bowie. We've lost Lemmy. We've lost Glenn Fry now. We've lost Alan Rickman. Mott the Hoople, one of the lads from that, died this morning. What's going on? I don't like 2016 already. It sucks. Make it go back. It's rubbish. Right, so I've had my little waffle. Hopefully you've got an idea of what I'm doing. It's just very gently nibbling away. There's a groove that needs to be put back in there. So very gentle. Be careful not to cut your thumb or any of your other appendages. Appendage. Still a hell of a groove there. So I'll keep nibbling away at that, and we'll do the rest of this in time lapse, and I'll cut away and then I'll come back just to save you watching me doing this for about 4 hours. before the sore throat issues kicked in. Probably tell I'm still a little bit croaky. It's been a week since I was last doing all this kind of thing, and then I completely lost my voice. It was brilliant. So I've had a week where we sat in the back office at work, just shredding and things like that, you know, just doing the general office things. And I said to the boss on Friday, if this isn't any better by Monday, excuse me, if this isn't any better by Monday, then I'm not coming in. I'll be taking a couple of days off and things like that. She went, yeah, alright then, fair enough. So first thing, it's Wednesday now. First thing Monday morning, I was like, oh no, I can't do it yet. It's brilliant. Yeah, you've probably caught a bit of that at the intro for episode 3 and the outro for episode 3 that I've just literally just filmed. So it's coming and going, which apparently is a good thing. Apparently, where have you gone? Come here, you. So I've had a good week now to have a look at this and have a think and things like that. We've still got huge gaps in the legs there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick chat about fillers and how I would normally tackle this kind of thing. That one there, to be honest, isn't that bad. We've got like this big gap here. So we've got a choice of using Milliput, which is a 2-part epoxy. You basically cut equal parts of the yellow and the grey-brown colour. It's actually, as this stuff oxidises, I'm a little bit concerned that might have gone off, to be honest. As it oxidises, it's actually, you can see there, it's a completely different colour on the inside. It's a bit like Blackpool rock. So once you, I'll have to trim a little piece of that one off to start with, and then it will come out as grey, I think. And then you mix these two together and it forms an epoxy type thing. A little bit messy, it's a little bit faffy. I don't think I've got anything that warrants using that stuff, to be honest. Or have I? That tends to be for like huge gaps. You'd use that one for. So I don't think I'll need that. Another alternative is the good old thing of using super glue over the top. And what you do there is you drop it over the gap. Where have we gone? Drop that over the gap and it'll form like this ridge type thing that you can then sand back and sculpt back. It's super glue and fingers, and it tends to bond your fingers better than it will bits of plastic together. So we've got this pre-mixed stuff as well. All these are available from e-models in one form or another, and that's like a pre-made gritty paste kind of thing. So I'm probably going to go with that, to be honest. And a fourth version I would normally use is styrene plastic. It's worth grabbing a couple of these packets. You know, as you can see in there, there's all kinds of shapes and sizes. Let's get some out and get away from that shiny plastic. So we've actually got tubes and shapes. Tubes. So we've got like huge tubes. These come in handy as well for if you're having to scratch build anything. I built a 1/9 scale bike a few years back. Oh, I'll say a few years back, a couple of years ago for a father-in-law. Oh. Here's was the original 1974 kit. And this is the updated Italeri version. It's the company that used to be Italeri. And this is the version I did a couple of years ago, but the one my father-in-law had, the entire back end here is completely different from the original kit, the 74 kit. And he'd basically glued everything together rather than leaving it freewheeling like this. He made a hash of it in 1974, bear in mind. I fixed it in 2013. So it's been like, you know, the best part of 40 years. He's sat there doing nothing in his loft. Can you still hear me? Oh, I'm going to break that now. Put it on there a minute. I'll probably hear it crashing in a minute. So yeah, he sat there in his loft for the best part of, you know, not quite 40 years. And I had to come along and repair it, which meant drilling out the entire rear axle and replacing it with this stuff, so that it'd free wheel on the stand.
cracking kit, the original one. The new version, not so cracking. It's been updated and all kinds of things have been changed inside the kit itself, but it's a good challenge. Excuse me. Oh, hello. Cool. Right, so there we go. It's gone back again. So what I would normally do is use this really thin stuff. Now you can, of course, heat up. I've thrown it all away. The frames that the kit comes on, you can heat that up, but you then got the problem of, if you set that on fire, you're then creating noxious fumes inside your working space. If you've not got your windows ventilated open or anything like that, yeah, that made sense in my head. Or if you've not got one of these sucky blowy things on, you've then got noxious fumes knocking about. Polystyrene itself isn't too bad, it niffs a bit, but ABS plastic, which is used in quite a few kits, Revels kits are a mixture of polystyrene and ABS. That's why they're a little bit fiddly to glue with. They lean more towards the ABS side of things. If you heat up ABS, it will actually give off poisonous fumes, so you have to be careful with what you're doing with the heating up. That's why I prefer to use these pre-made things for us. What I would literally do is, if the gap was big enough, which it isn't on here, oh, it might be. Ooh, that is interesting. No, it's not quite deep enough, but if that gap there continued all the way through, I would actually lay that over the top and use some Tamiya thin to get that into the gap. Let that set for a few minutes and then go over it again with the Tamiya thin. Excuse me. Just to like smooth it all down a little bit. And it's a very similar technique to the one I used on the front splash guard of the Yamaha bike, wherever that's gone. I've lost it. No, I've moved it, I've tidied up a little bit and it's gone. There you go. So if you cast your minds back, hopefully there's a video overplaying over the top of this now. Right there, right at the front of the splash guard, that massive great big ridge that we took care of by adding the glue into the gap, giving it a squish and using the kit's own plastic to pop through and create the seam for us. That'll do the exact same job. So think of it like using a welding rod with a normal electric welder. Only the glue is the welding arc itself, if that made sense. Probably didn't. It's me explaining stuff. Never makes bloody sense. So we'll just try and put the face of that away. So that's the 4 options I use straight away for sorting this kind of problem out. We've got all kinds of seamage. So I'm just going to cut away here whilst I tidy this up. Let's pull you in a bit closer. Try and sort this lighting out a little bit. So I'm just going to try and remember where I put my tweezers. There's my tweezers. Come here, you. What I'm going to do is, just to prepare the area a little bit, I'm just going to run some Tamiya thin there on that seam. I'm going to pick this doohickey up, and without trying to get any fingerprints in there, just place it over the top so it tacks on a little bit at the front. Like I said, it's a little bit too big for what we need. So we get some Tamiya thin on here, we can sort it out properly. Just get that to tack in a little bit. We'll add some more over the top. This kind of thing is absolutely ideal as well if you've got one of these large scale figures and it's a military type bloke and you've got to add that funny piping on. And this is great for tanks as well, this technique. So just knock that off there. So where you've got the flat panels of a tank attaching to each other. And I'll do this in another video, possibly on my own channel at some point. Where you get the flat panels of a tank joining, like that. You get these two edges together. Just run some glue over the top of the seam. Add a strip of this over the top. And then run some glue over the top again. And then just notch it with the back of a knife. Like so. You'll create a lovely world effect. handy little technique. So just add some more glue over the top of that. So we're going to leave that for I don't know, about 30 seconds or so, just to start going all gooey and whatnot. And then we'll take a cocking tail stick. There you go. We'll see if we can move that around a little bit. Come on. Whilst that's waiting, I'll give you a quick story about work. Lovely junior doctor, Australian lad, came walking over. He is absolutely gorgeous. I said, do us a favour, Jim, have a look at the back of my throat. Is that tonsillitis? So he gets his scopes out and whatnot. Has a quick look. He's, oh, yep. That's tonsillitis, mate. All the girls are drooling all over the place. And, you know, all the little old ladies are falling over. And, oh, ain't he lovely, him? He won't have any of it. He's like me, he prefers girls. Right, that's going on nice and soft now, so we'll just give that a quick squish. So yeah, he's like me, he prefers girls. And he knows full well that the girls are flirting with him just so they can get a free ticket to Australia when he goes home. He's not daft. For an Aussie lad, he's actually quite clever. Hey! Yeah, he's having absolutely none of the flirting whatsoever. But if I start flirting with him, he'll flirt back on purpose just to wind all the girls up. So they're having a good old giggle. Like, yep, you got tonsillitis, mate. They need to come out. Oh, I'm 40 now. You had your chance when I was 9 years old. They're mine. Get off. So unfortunately it does look like at some point these tonsils are going to have to come out now. I stopped smoking, let me think, 5 years ago. Just over. And it's a bit quinky-denkle. Up until that point, absolutely no problems at all with tonsillitis or anything like that. Within 3 months of me stopping, I got tonsillitis for the first time. Quite badly as well. It's not quite as bad as this one was. This is the worst of the lot. I had it again the following year. It was only last year where I didn't actually get tonsillitis of the 5 years that I've not been smoking. So it's a bit coinky-dinkle. 1 is chance, 2 is coincidence, 3 is a pattern, 4 is a serial killer. So I'm on the serial killer phase now. So it's a little bit hinky. I'm not impressed. It's all gone wrong. So at some point, they can't decide anything now whilst it's still like really raw, but in about a month's time we're going to have a consultation. And they're going to decide whether to take them out or not, or whether they're just going to monitor it next year, see if it happens again. I don't like it. I'm losing my voice and everything. It's rubbish. Yeah, ready. So I'm going to leave that to dry for a bit and do its thing, and then across this one here we're going to add some of this stuff. Again, you could use specialist tools, which I've mislaid again because it's me. It says because it's me and I mislay things. Nope, I've mislaid it completely. Yay, it's not in usable hiding places. So, as I was saying, you could use these specialist things. Cocking tail sticks at the side of me. Might as well use that instead. And it's literally just a case of smearing that over the... Oh dear. Can I go home now? I want to go home. Just bring that over the top. Like so. And then try not to cover any other panel lines that are knocking about nearby. Just very gently, very carefully bob around, do your thing, try and smooth it out if you can. Use the second cocking tail stick, you know, nothing cheap for doing all your smoothing. Now what I tend to do here, let's give it a quick nibble off camera, quick nibble, just to reshape it a little bit, and just basically have a quick scratch away before it sets, and you can come back with the other stuff. Let's get some more in. Like that, and then a bit of scrap tissue paper that just happens to be handy at the side. wipe off the other stuff as it's drying, and then come back in with some more. Now, this tube I've had for a good couple of years now, and I've barely used it. So more often than not, you don't actually need to go to this kind of length. It's not very often you'll get a kit like this these days. And if you sat there watching this thinking, should I or shouldn't buy this kit, don't let this put you off. As you'll see, once I've finished messing about doing all this, it is worth putting the effort in. And hopefully it is just this one-off. Hopefully if you do get this kit, it won't be this bad. Yeah, I've certainly not had anybody jumping in yet saying, yep, mine was that bad as well. So the feedback we're getting so far is good. But as you're about to see, there is no such thing as a problem. We have a temporary sit back without a permanent solution. Now again, if we've got a massive great big gap, I wouldn't use this stuff straight away. I'd actually do this kind of thing and plug it first. Fill the gap in that way and use this as the final skim, because this stuff will crack as it shrinks and dries, and you get that crackage that you get with filler like you use if you do DIY and you use this kind of stuff. It's very similar to the kind of stuff you'd actually fill cracks in your wall with. It's got that same kind of gritty quality to it. I'm not too sure if I'm allowed to say polyfillers or not. I'll say it anyway. I'll grab that bit there as well. And then there's a very final layer of filling. We'll use some Mr. Hobby surface primer over the top of all this, just to smooth it all back and make it look all ship-shape and fancy. And those with a keen ear might possibly hear my next door neighbour going out on his bike in the background. That bike actually sounds a lot beefier than it actually is. I think he's got a baked beans can or something like that, and over the exhaust. Like we used to in the early 90s with the Renault Clios. We'll patch his backside up as well while we're there. Not that you'll see that, but you know, it's there. It'll bug me knowing that's there. So that's that. Quite a big gap there as well in the heel. So don't worry as well with these lines, because there's like loads of grooves. You'll see that better when I've done a pin wash on it. There's loads of lines. We can actually scrape this stuff back out of the grooves once it's dried. It's not a problem. There's that huge crack there. Huge crack. Right down there in the heel. I honestly don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, because the monitor I'm watching this on, just off to the side here, the lighting on it is shocking. Oh, it's suddenly gone quiet outside. Apart from my dad burping downstairs. So that's that. So like I say, you could use, spend a couple of quid on proper spatulas and stuff like that. Cocking cell stick will do the job just as well. You pay your money, you take your choice and all that nonsense. This is actually quite therapeutic. So I'm happy enough with that now. And once all this is set and dried and things like that, we'll go over again with the guide coat. Excuse me.
What was that noise?
I wonder what sound effects he used that time.
I heard something.
Oh, that's better. What the whistle. So hopefully that's dried on the little plate that we've put in, not the little plate, the little doohickey that we've added. So we can now just trim that back a little bit, sculpt it down. Very gently. So there's a little bit of whittling. What you'll have now is a nice smooth seam. Just whittle that down a little bit more, like so. So that's actually filled that gap now, and I'm really hoping you can pick that out. So let's say this monitor's shocking at showing things like this. It doesn't help that you're using white either. What we can do now, just to stabilise that again, is just run some more thin cement over the top. Just help stabilise it. And again, leave that for a few seconds to catch and bite, and then take a cocking tail stick. You can actually see that with the shine. Oh, my brother's arrived. So we just run really quickly with the cocking tail stick over the top. Give that a quick smoothing. And if we need to, add some texture by adding a couple of grooves over the top. Not a problem. So I'm going to leave that lot now to set for, I don't know, we'll give that an hour first, just to see what's what with it. And then we'll come back and have a quick nosy at that. Off camera, I'm actually going to carry on recording this, do it as a time lapse. If I find anything that I need to point out, then I will do. But hopefully I won't do. I won't have to, even. Possible I might have to plug that a little bit. Even though there's a shoulder pad going over the top, that crack does actually come through into the uniform at the back. So I'll probably talk you through that part when I get there. In the meantime, I'm just going to whip around and take care of the seams as we've just been doing. So that wasn't that bad on the top half, so we'll just have a quick go at this. So the offcut of that polystyrene strip I had earlier, I've just whacked into the gap on the shoulder socket there. I'm just going to drop some Tamiya thin over the top. As I say, this is going to be hidden by a shoulder pad anyway, so I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about it. So we'll leave that to go off, but as you can see there, where are we? There we go. There's a little tiny sticky up bit that we'll need to trim off once that's dried. So we can leave that to set again. And like I said, that's literally been about 10 minutes since I did that anyway, so we'll leave that to dry now for about an hour, then we'll come back to do the trimmage. Yeah, so just at about half an hour or so. I'm just going to add the knee pads from the normal plastic kit. So these are on the same frame as the helmet and whatnot. So it's literally just a case of running some Tamiya thin over the top, watching for the big splotch of glue that comes out. Just rest that a little bit more. Like so. I painted on the inside as well because I cut them from the frame and I thought, oh hang on, so I painted left and right inside them. Come here, there's more. Oh, what was his name? Jimmy Cricket. Yeah. I used to love him. So I'll get that lined up a little bit there, and then something over the top into the seam, like so. Go, cooperate. And then that can have another few minutes to sort out and do its thing. Why? Oh, looks like I'm busy on the other builds, whilst I've been poorly. So the Alfa Romeo's come on and bomb as well. I'll just very quickly show you that.
pretty much have been added. We just need to take off the excessy bits. So if just get you in on these little rust spots at the top here. Hopefully you can see that. Just let me adjust me. There we go. Now I can see it. I've got one of those little faulty flippy screens. Once it's flat down, you can't actually see me moving that, can you? Anyway, just here we've got a couple of big splotchy spots where we've not been exactly cautious, and there's a great big huge one just at the top of that wheel arch. So now that it's all dry, you literally just come across, and this is where the gloss varnish comes in handy as well. Literally just come across, give it a quick rub, and it's gone. And that pin wash has actually been there for about 2 days. I've not actually touched it whatsoever for 2 days, solid. Also went off and did real life things. So it just shows that even after 2 days, you can actually take the pin wash away. Like so. Brilliant. Good little experiment, that. Because actually, to be honest, I actually forgot about that and I thought, yeah, knackered it, I've ruined it, but nope, as you can see, it works. So, good little demonstration, that. I like these. Right, so. It's alright, I'm flapping about because I've got a right old mess over there and it's distracting. We'll sort this shoulder out because there's a little bit of a sticky out. You can probably hear it there, so we'll sort that out. I vaguely remember in the previous clips of this putting that in, and I'm hoping that I explained it. So, just a couple of daft little nits and bobs and things like that we need to sort out. There. So it's just a little bit of resculpting. Take away some of those little lines without removing the lines that actually tell you where to paint. So I need to chip away at that panel there. This line here actually tells me where I need to add some detail paint, but that one there doesn't need to be there. So we take that smooth. And we get this little curvy one here. Looks like it's a mark line for where we need to paint, but got a massive great big seam there. So I'm just going to carry on nibbling away in time lapse, so you're not sat there watching me doing this for like half an hour straight. So I've reached a stage now where there's not much more I can do with the whittling, and I need to get some primer on there now so I can tell what's what, things like that. So it's absolutely lashing it down outside. We're in the middle of Storm Imogen, apparently. You know, it used to be bad weather. Now all of a sudden we've got names for each pattern of weather that comes through, and it's always a storm. No, stop your nonsense. It's just weather. So I'm going to go into my dad's shed, give that another blast of Tamiya primer, and we'll come back and see how these things are doing. Oh, yeah, more paint. I'll show these again. I'm triple filming again at the moment, just to get everything caught up. Because I've had to take that week off. Because no voice, it was great. So, a couple of little greaves that have managed to attach themselves to wet paint. Yeah, get off. Alright. So it's looking a little bit better now that we've got the primer on. Still a couple of wonky lines, but I can live with that. It's a damn sight better than it was. So I don't know if you can make that out. There's still a few little greebles here and there along this line. So what we'll do now is we're going to use some of this really smelly Mr. Surfacer 1000. It's available in, I think it's 500 and a 200 as well, I think. I can't quite remember. It's a while ago since I bought this stuff. I think this is still available from E-Models themselves, and as you can see, it's something I use quite regularly because I've got a grotty old brush ready for it. With this stuff, it is recommended that you get their own thinner, the Mr. whatever it is. I'll flash a picture of it here, just to take care of this stuff. What this is, it's basically primer outside of the can. It's good stuff, it really is good stuff. I think the 500 is like a really gritty texture. The 2000, I'm getting this wrong, I've got a feeling I'm getting this wrong because I've not done the research properly, is like a really super fine type thing, which we'll hopefully see in a second. Get some gloves on, get some gloves on. Gloves. If you hear me, I might crash in a second or two, it's because I've got another kit up there covering my gloves up. Now, this does get a bit whiffy, so if you can, have your windows open, have an extractor fan going at any time and all that kind of stuff. Let's get this lighting sorted out. My lighting's a bit wonky again. So, there we go. My God, normally that lid, the interior lid, stays in place here, which means it doesn't matter how many times I use this stuff, I always forget how smelly it is. My word, that is smelly. So let's get rid of that greeble there that's managed to attach itself to wet paint. Get off. So just at the back here on this seam, you can probably see it's going on darker, so you get a good contrast just to let you know where you're putting it. Now already that's taking care of that little seam that I had left. So we like that. Now I don't actually have the proper thinner for this, so I can take care of it afterwards, but what I do have off camera is isopropyl alcohol, IPA. You'll probably know it as rubbing alcohol, a couple of other different names. And I've got some of that just off camera, and I normally just give that a quick rinse in a little tub. I have especially for the job. A little bit too gloopy with that, so just off camera I've got a little rag that I'm wiping the brush off on. Just going to paint this back on properly. Now it's like a thick paint. So it is smelly, so get the windows open. But this is basically primer. It's good stuff, just for taking care of last minute details like this. Generally good to go within about half an hour or so. What I'll do here, that gap there, that seam, is a little bit too deep for this stuff on its jack, so in about 20 minutes time I'll just come back again, just dab some more over the top of it. Just to fill in. As you can see, a little really does go a long way. Now, if and when I finally get around to filming Arrowlight the Space Wonder Hose, you'll see me using this stuff a lot, especially when I'm taking care of its back end, which just sounded wrong. Where that butt crack was, you'll see me using this a fair bit. I think I'm using it on his face as well. He's been put away again for the time being, so I can't quite figure out where I am with him.
We're not actually going digging for him. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. I've not gone too far off camera. I'm trying to catch the light as well at the same time. There we go. So we're just taking care of those little seams. There we go. That looks a lot better now. I'm going to try and catch some of that armpit at the back. I spotted that a minute ago. There we go. Could have done some proper filler in there. Yeah. So just in there, we've got that massive grabby shadow. That's actually a big hole that I didn't spot before. I don't know how. So I'm going to whack some proper thinner filler in that in a second. That white stuff that we used the other day. Well, I said the other day, it was what, a week and a half ago now, something stuff like that. So I'll whack some of that in just to take care of that gap. Splodge in there as well, just to hide that hole. Hide the hole. So that's the top half done. Pop that off to the side there. Excuse me. And then there's a couple of rough spots on the thigh itself. I'm just going to take care of. It's down this piece here. Like so. Oh, get on camera, Tony. Across there. I'm actually going to paint some across this ribbing as well. What we'll do, I've actually got oh, I think you'll see it in a minute once all this is dried, which will actually be this will be tomorrow evening now before I get around to this. I've got that huge seam there in that ribbing still, so I'm actually going to fill all that ribbing in and then carve it back in. Let's say hopefully your kit won't be like this. Hopefully this is just a one-off. It is very, very, very unusual for a Tamiya kit to do this. So please, please, please don't be disheartened. But if you do manage to get hold of a kit that's like this as well, you know, hopefully this will teach you to take care of it. You know, it's not the end of the world, it can be fixed. A little bit of patience. Obviously it's not going to be the weekend build you wanted it to be, but you know, who says it has to be done in a weekend? I'm actually quite enjoying this. Look at me, I'm proper model making. I'll pop some along there as well. Blend that in. Like so. I'll get some on these boots as well. Just fill these toe pieces in a little bit. Okay, that'll do for that. So like I say, I'm going to take care of the hush. Where are you going? Where are you going? Get back up there. Take care of the brush in some isopropyl alcohol. And I'm getting absolutely smashed at my face on this stuff now. This really is potent stuff. Get your windows open. And if you can, wear something like this at the same time. Make sure your windows are open, make sure you've got a fan blowing out the window, get your extractor on, don't do what I've just done and sit here with it like this. I've only done it because I'm stupid and I'm filming and I need you guys to be able to hear what I'm doing. I don't quite have the facilities to re-record a voiceover.
which is something I am looking into. So please, 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 be sensible if you do buy that stuff. You don't have to use that stuff, other filling products are available. That's just my preferred weapon for final touches. Oh, I must apologise, I got carried away and I thought to press record and I hadn't. But what we've done now is just gone back in with this stuff here. Oh, I've got a voice. Wow, that's kind of cool. Kind of. Still a bit croaky, but yeah, we're getting there. So I've just gone round, just filling in last minute blemishes here and there. Where are we? So it's just that little crack in the armpit as well. That was spotted right at the last minute. Couple of little gribblies around here on the flank. There's like just the odd spot here and there, just to bring it all back together. But it's a bit of a boring process, to be honest, but it's nothing that you haven't seen before. Now that that's drying, what I can do is go back and just add a couple more details, just by scratching away with the end of the picky tool type thing, just to scratch a couple of these contours back in, where the filler's gone slightly over. So you just scratch that back. Bring that back a little bit. Yeah, what else is there in there as well? So we can put these grooves back in. Just by very quickly teasing over the top. And things like that. So I'm going to leave that for, let's see, it's had about 20 minutes so far. I'm going to leave it for about another hour, see where it is, see if it's still tacky to the touch. And then we'll reprime, leave that overnight, and then hopefully we'll be at a stage where we can start throwing some paint on this fella. Well, at least I had fad for you then. Yeah. What's in that vodka?